Today on the Game Corner, our game in focus is Injustice: Gods Among Us. At 4:15, we'll discuss the decline of downloadable content in the game. At 4:30, we'll meet with our gamer, Connor Jordan. And at 4:45, we'll debate who we'd want to see in a Marvel vs. DC game. With Nick Jerzak and Eric Jaworski in Ithaca College's VIC radio studio on Saturday, April 19th. This is the Game Corner.
Hello and welcome to another great rendition of the Game Corner here on VIC Radio. I am Nick Jerzak.
And I'm Eric Jaworski, and here we are going to be talking about Injustice: Gods Among Us.
One of our favorite games that we've had within the last year. And
Literally, it's been a year since that game came out. It came
Really?
out like April 16th. So actually, yeah, basically a year and 3 days.
That is awesome, and it has undergone some really, really great changes in the time that it's been out. It's just one of those fighting games where I felt like I really connected to it. I'm personally a big fighting game person. I love games like Soul Calibur. I played the original Soul Calibur called Soul Blade when it was on PS1.
And you actually still have it, don't you?
I got a copy last year because I bought a PS1 that broke on me. And I also am a huge fan of the DOA series, Dead or Alive. One of the best things ever out there, even if it's a little bit inappropriate. And
Ivy and all that, all the ladies.
Ivy's from Soul Calibur, dude.
Oh, but you know what I mean.
Nice job.
Badunkadunks, whatever. But yeah, myself, I'm not a big fighter game. I have played Soul Calibur multiple times, but it's just like it wasn't a game that I really got into. But I definitely got into Injustice: God Among Us because I am a big DC fan myself.
Yes, and you know what? It's something that we should really talk about. Is the game is this story where you've got basically a Justice League episode within a game.
Yep.
And it's just really, really fun to watch this as a Justice League, basically as a Justice League movie. Originally, it starts out where Superman has
been controlled by the Joker.
Yeah, controlled by the Joker.
Destroys Metropolis and kills Lois Lane with their future child, or their unborn child, technically.
Then it goes into something else where it is
in an alternate universe where it was kind of like the events beforehand.
Would you stop finishing my sentences before I finish them?
I don't know. I like to do that.
Yes, but you're just talking over me now.
Fine.
Anyway, it finishes out with this sort of battle of two Earths going on here, and you've got the good Superman from Earth eventually coming to fight the evil Superman of the other Earth, and it's just one really, really big, awesome game. What are your favorite things about this game there, Eric?
Well, definitely I do love the giant amount of characters that they have in this game. I mean, good God, they have at least like over 12 good guy characters and then over 12 bad guy characters, I believe, if I'm correct, the villains and heroes. That's definitely that they have a diverse amount of characters. Another is also sort of like, I don't know if it was in the Mortal Kombat, but sort of like the level transitions, which is actually kind of pretty cool. You know, like where you knock someone off a stage and then they like plow through.
I don't know if they had that in Mortal Kombat. I would have to defer to Connor when he's on the air about something like that.
Apparently he says no, it wasn't, if I'm correct.
Yeah, he's sitting here in studio with us, but we're gonna wait until it comes up to your interview to put you on here.
But I believe the super move is also something that was in Mortal Kombat.
The super move,
he's not sure. I don't know. There's like certain mechanics where it was in Mortal Kombat, but just moved over. But again, Injustice definitely brought a lot of good things, especially the interactive objects that you can use, like knocking opponents into a helicopter or throwing the bat signal against someone, and it was just cool interaction.
What I also really, really like, which you didn't touch on just yet, is the all-star cast of voices that you have for this. You've got
Kevin Conroy is
of course Batman. They didn't get Mark Hamill for Joker, which is a damn shame.
Which is sad, but what can you do? They had Tara Strong, who was Harley Quinn instead of Arlene Sorkin.
They also had her as Raven.
Oh, yeah. Wait, she was? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because she actually does play Raven in the Teen Titans animated series. There is also Grey DeLisle, who plays Catwoman. I always say the name wrong, unfortunately.
I'm going to look up the full cast here.
I got the cast right here on Wikipedia.
I'm looking it up, too.
Oh, my goodness.
It's on IMDb.
I also got Wikipedia.
Okay, looks like you've got Stephen ML? who plays.
Stephen Amell. He actually he doesn't play the actual Arrow. He plays the character Arrow, like Green Arrow on the TV show, and it's only for his skin. That's the only character.
Troy Baker is Sinestro and Nightwing, the Dick Grayson version, my two favorite characters to use in that game.
And he's actually the voice of Joker in Arkham Origins, which is awesome. Another one is Phil Lamar, who plays Aquaman, but of course is well known for playing Jon Stewart in Justice League.
Well, he is actually Jon Stewart, the voice of Jon Stewart, too.
They did actually bring him in, which was awesome.
And of course, we can't forget about who is playing Superman, because that would be just a damn shame. I think it's
George Newborn.
It's George Newborn. It's not Tim Daly. Tim Daly is, I think he was the animated series. Yeah, he was super.
Yeah, he was only he was in the Justice League apparently. So that's what it says.
Anyway,
I don't know either way.
There's a bunch of other There's a bunch of other great
There's great voice acting and of course great music, even though you mainly only remember the main title music.
Yeah, you don't really hear. It kind of just does what music is supposed to do in the game, and it just sets the tone, the atmosphere of everything, rather than being there and being present like it would be in, say, Skyrim, where a notice is,
or Mass Effect.
Where it basically gives you a notice of, oh, the situation is changing, you're under attack.
Mm-hmm. Well, because you're always in a battle, because this is a fighter game, and that's the only thing you're doing is basically facing battles.
Pretty much, yeah, and that's something that's very, very important to recognize, is that it is a fighting game, and it does a really, really good job at being such. But one of my biggest complaints when I was starting out in this game is that the mechanics were so clunky. I mean, doing combos alone, I'm used to very, very fluid motion combat, like with Dead or Alive, where it's a 3D fighter. And when I had to press the buttons as rapidly as I had to do just a single combo, that was a little bit annoying for me. It was something that I had experienced before with something like Mortal Kombat, where doing a single button, you'll do a one hit, but it was a lot harder to do the combos, but you kind of stagger your opponent afterwards, so I guess it kind of evens out. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't, like, I kind of noticed that myself. I'm not a big fighter game, so it wasn't, like, a big problem for me, but it is a little bit complicated, whereas, like, even from last night, I'm, like, trying to do, like, you know, a certain move, and it's like, I know I'm doing the controls, but it's, like, somehow not working for some reason. It's only lucky with, like, okay, I got it right, and the right combination, or just like that. So it's like, I don't know. These combo moves are just a little bit more than what I am used to.
There's another thing that my brother and I get into a debate about all the time, which is whether or not you should have powers in a game. And I think my biggest thing about that is that if you have like powers like Kamehameha and stuff like that in the Dragon Ball Z Budokai games, it kind of gives you sort of an edge towards, like, with your fighting, and it really doesn't focus so much on the fighting as it does the super moves. Mm-hmm. What I think that Injustice does really, really well is it balances you having to actually press the buttons to fight, and also you having to enter the commands to actually do super moves, even if I spam things as Sinestro all the time.
Yeah, which you tend to do a lot. But yeah, it is good. That's not like, you know, just one simple button to, like, you know, be Deathstroke and just shoot guns or something like that. But you have to do that command. And sometimes it may be weird where it's like, you know, shooting across or shooting upwards. So, like, you know, there might be that other combo where it's different directions even.
Who's your favorite character to be in this, Mr. Jaworski?
You already know what I'm going to say. It's mother friggin' Deathstroke and also Green Arrow.
Deathstroke and Green Arrow are two.
Those are my two.
They're really, really good. They're marksman type.
They're also pretty fast.
They're marksman type. They're fast. The only thing is that you've got, especially with Deathstroke, you've got a move where you can dodge it really, really easily.
Especially with the super move. Yeah, that is true. I don't know. Just like, I think I've probably learned maybe wait till someone jumps, and then when they're about to fall, then that might be the good point. But it's sometimes I'm good at it, sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. But either way, that's definitely those are my two characters.
Yeah, I personally am very, very partial to Sinestro. I love using Sinestro's powers and using the meteor especially.
You spam him more than I do with Deathstroke and his machine guns.
Would you let me finish about my characters here?
Too late.
Damn it. I mean, honestly, this is talk radio. You're supposed to let me talk.
And I sometimes jump in.
Yeah, but you jump in at the wrong time.
Does it look like I care?
No, but anyway,
Continue.
getting back on track is that we've got Nightwing, who is another one of my favorites. I used to be really good with him. I've kind of lost touch with him, but now I'm gonna try and get back with him. And I'm also really, really partial towards Green Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, Green Lantern and Sinestro, they have similar sort of moves, similar sort of combos. So if you're good with Sinestro, you're going to be good with Green Lantern. I think that's just something that you need to keep in mind when you're fighting in this game.
Another thing to talk about is the Star Labs. There are people who either love it or hate it. What's your opinion?
I hate the Star Labs just because if you want to get all of the stars and actually go for that achievement or the award in what's it called, PlayStation World, you've got it's impossible. You have to be literally OCD to get every single star and actually survive the fights.
It is difficult, I admit. I've been playing a lot of them, and it's just like, oh, okay, I'm good with the intro, but it's just like a lot of these tasks are really impossible to do, and especially like to get 3 stars is crazy. But it's one thing I've learned is that you don't actually need to get the 3 stars off the bat. You could play it one time and then get a star for that, and then there's another star that's completely different, and you could do when you play it again, you could play and you get that other star, and then you get the 3 stars there. So it's not like you have to get all 3 stars at that one play, but you could do it at different times.
Something that was unique about Injustice Gods Among Us as well was the fact that it released an iOS app / Android app for you to play on your smartphone alongside the actual release of the game on consoles. And I thought that it was really interesting, if not a little bit bland, and ate up data like crazy if you didn't have like your Wi-Fi connected.
Also, it was like 2 gigabytes, which especially for like an iPhone, it's just a lot of data on there. And the game is kind of repetitive. You're just basically clicking, maybe some slide stuff right there. It was like really dumbed down compared to the regular
Very
game.
dumbed down, but you can't really do much about that,
True.
honestly. It also was a very, very key area to getting certain costumes from the iOS going into the console. Like, to get the Batman Beyond suit, which we don't have because it would just take forever to do it, you would have to get a Batman character within the mobile game, and then that would basically transfer between the console and the mobile game.
Yeah, it's like through your like Warner Brothers ID or something that connects. I mean, the same thing is also similar to Batman Origins, where they also had a phone app, and like, the different things that you added there, then you get costumes for your character in Arkham Origins. It was kind of like it was an interesting interface, but it is a little bit difficult to like plan it out. You would have to be really playing this game a lot more than you would want to.
And I just don't have the time for it. And we are going to be hitting up to a break here. But if you have anything that you want to say about the Injustice games that maybe we didn't cover, tweet at VIC Radio or at VIC Game Corner. You are listening to the Game Corner here on the Best of What's Next, VIC Radio.
The Game Corner.
We're in position. Commence assault.
Damn it, Bruce. Do you have any idea what I think I'm here by coincidence? Let's leave. Breathe in. Be together.
There is no we.
Bastard.
I have a job to do.
So have I.
Took you in, trained you. Uptight jerk. Abandoned him for Superman. I'm not Dick Grayson. This is Damian Wayne. Wayne, son. Superman's been more of a father than you ever were. You stop being my son and kill Dick Grayson. He was my son. Want to order Chinese later? Focus, Dick.
Injustice Gods Among Us.
You are listening to VIC Radio's Game Corner. It is the Injustice edition. We're heading up to our Up for Debate, which is the decline of DLC for the Injustice series. And you know what? Injustice had a lot of great DLC that was coming out on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. We had a lot of great characters coming out, and
Also, a lot of skins.
a lot of great skins too, but which made me wonder, because it was doing so well, when they suddenly stopped, what was it? Why did they stop releasing DLC for this game? It's a great game. Why not continue?
I don't know. It's a mixture of things. I would have made the argument that maybe they wanted to make their next game, but I kind of looked in and tried to see if, are they making like another game of some sorts that they're putting focus on, but there's nothing that NetherRealm Studios is working on at the moment. Like, they made the Arkham Origins app, but nothing else, to be honest.
NetherRealm is basically in cahoots with Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment for this one, and it's something where I think it was maybe something with Warner Brothers end, where they wanted to continue making different games rather than NetherRealm, and NetherRealm just, I don't know, they haven't really made a whole bunch of games. This is the latest one that they've made. I think the last one that they made before this had to be like some sort of Mortal Kombat game.
It was Mortal Kombat there. I don't know. I'm looking on the list right here, at least for games that they've made, along with... I'm looking in. Okay, there's like different games that they make out. They even were trying to like make a let's see, Injustice: Gods Among Us. Again, a lot of Arkham Origins. That was probably the big thing that Warner Brothers Interactive was working on for last year. And again, they re-released Injustice: Gods Among Us for the new generation with the Ultimate Edition. But again, they've been working on like different like Lego Movie, Batman Arkham Origins, Blackgate, which is another phone app. They're actually working on right now Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor, which I'm actually excited. And of course,
wait, NetherRealm is or WB is?
I'm talking about WB.
Okay.
And of course, coming up is Batman Arkham Knights and Dying Light, and just so many other games that are coming out later on. So it's sort of like they just had to stop. That's my idea, is like they have all these other games that they need to put focus on. They had a good run with it by, releasing these skins and releasing these characters, not all at once, but, it was just like, we just got to move on to our next project.
So that actually then begs the question, if NetherRealm is in charge of doing the Mortal Kombat games and everything like that, and I think it's NetherRealm that's actually the publisher of the game, while WB is the developer of the game. Or
No.
Do I have it backwards?
It's the game was developed by NetherRealm Studios and published by Warner Brothers Entertainment for the PlayStation, Wii U, and Xbox 360.
Okay, so then that begs the question: if it's up to NetherRealm to be developing these sorts of things, and they're not working on another game like WB is, then why did they stop? Should they have continued? I believe that, yeah, they should have. They should have kept us wanting more and more and more. And you know what? I think they would have been really successful if they started continuing to release DLC on a week-by-week basis.
Maybe not week by week, because here's the thing. Like, especially with what we do on the Game Corner, I was afraid that we were going to throw out all the good games, especially at the beginning. And then that's what we did. We talked about Elder Scrolls. We talked about Mass Effect. We were putting a lot of good games, and now we're working on like the last sort of little bitty stuff, like how we're doing a game that was a year ago, and now we're going to do Stick of Truth. But again, it was just like we put out a lot of the good stuff first, and then sort of little stuff there, instead of like, had incremented times. I think they should have like had these characters not by like every week or other week, but at least every month.
I'm going to disagree with you right there, and I'll say why. It's because of the Rock Band era of game, where you had a bunch of songs being released week by week by week, and it was some of them were really, really popular songs too. So if they can release DLC on a week by week basis, and it gets bought week by week by their fan base, then you're going to be able to do the same thing for a fighting game like Injustice, because the DC universe is so expansive and so open to immersion that if you wanted to, you could pull people in even more with your DLC.
Or you could possibly push them away by adding even more characters that even to the non-DC or big hardcore comic book person, that they're like, I don't really know this character or that much. So again, it's kind of like maybe how when we talked about Arkham Origins, what we should add, and you're like, they should have like, the Court of Owls, and I was like, it shouldn't be like a big mission, but maybe a side mission. I don't know. It's a weird mixture especially for marketing, to like not only appeal to the audience, the demographics for those who are big into the game, but also trying to get the people who aren't into DC to like it at the same time. And of course, with Rock Band, that's different because there's new music, new fads that people like. While with DC, you get that one character. There's not really that much updates. And especially with this kind of game, it's a fighter game where you repeat it over and over again.
Here's the thing, though.
And the things stay the same.
With the DC label, you're already pulling in that customer base. You're already pulling people in. Anybody who reads a DC comic is going to be interested in this game because it has the DC name on it. Now, there are going to be plenty of people who say, oh, New 52, blah, 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 we don't like this, blah, 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 blah. But when you've got something that initially pulls in an audience, then you're going to want to keep that audience's attention. And if you don't release DLC continuously, then you're going to lose their attention.
No doubt. But, I mean, it only goes for a certain time. Because, I mean, you work on a game for so long and even maybe do have plans for DLC. I mean, probably a lot of these characters, especially when like the game came out, they already had plans for Lobo and probably the next one, which was Zatanna. And, they already had these plans, but again, I'm trying to make the codes, trying to like make the right designs for the characters. But at the same time, it's just don't want to release everything at the same time.
Let's move forward. We were talking about released a mobile game along with the console game. What does this sort of move do for a game company? Really, it just puts more perspective on who can actually play the game. If you don't have a console, you can still get the mobile game and still have fun with it.
I think it almost sounds kind of like our talk about the Super Smash Brothers, how even though, again, compared to like a Game Boy or,
Nintendo DS,
where you do have to pay for that sort of like game console sort of way, handheld game console, while everyone has a phone and it's easy access for everyone to play. Not to mention, isn't Injustice free on the iPhone?
It is. It actually is a free app, but they have coins within the game which you can purchase.
Yeah, for like different characters. So it's kind of like, I don't know, any online game where you're able to play for free, but if you want the good stuff, you need to pay.
I mean, you can still earn those coins from doing a lot of battles.
It's a lot of battles. And again, people don't have the attention or, again, they don't have the attention to just go be competitive that long. And sooner or later they lose attention, just move on to something else.
Over the last couple of months, it's actually been interesting because I've checked out the Injustice website within the last week. They put a lot more focus on their mobile game than they have on the actual console game in recent weeks. And it begs the question, is that sort of a smart move? Do you really want to focus so much on the mobile and forget about the console?
Well, again, as I kind of mentioned before, how the app is free and lots of people have smartphones, while not too many people can either have a PS3 or an Xbox 360. But again, it's sort of like a universal thing where everyone has an iPhone or an Android, and you could easily compute it together to be able to program this sort of program game that is universal and can be updated whenever possible. Much easier than on a console.
For us console gamers, though, what kind of DLC would we want to see more of? I personally want to see more characters. Honestly, they focused so much on the costumes and making everything look pretty.
True.
And like giving you these free skins and everything like that I lost a lot of interest out of that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you released a lot more characters for it, and a lot more characters that caught my eye, especially because releasing Batgirl, Zatanna, and all those characters, it wasn't really all that interesting. You're releasing a bunch of characters who are basically sidekicks.
I mean, we already got the big headliner characters already as it is, so you're just going to have to move on to the next characters. I mean, even we made a list of sort of characters that we wanted to be on a game, on the blog. But I do admit the skins have been repetitive over and over again, and I do admit it was exciting to see these new characters. Another DLC that could be interesting is to add more locations, because they basically had two levels which were the same, just either they were at day or night, or like the Wayne Manor, those were either at day or night, or Arkham Asylum, and like the Joker Asylum, which was just basically different paint on it.
And a lot of it focused on the Superman and Batman realms as opposed to all the other characters that you had in there.
Like Star City, or I don't know, even like Aor, or the Green Lantern Planet.
Well,
there we go.
at one point, NetherRealm Studios and Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment released Scorpion as a DLC character, a Mortal Kombat character in a DC hero and villain game like this. What is the strategy to that other than just doing a mindless plug for Mortal Kombat?
I don't know. I think it's kind of like a weird Easter egg for NetherRealm Studios. It was like, yeah, we made Mortal Kombat, and we're also making, superhero game like Injustice. So we're going to add Scorpion, the big character there. I don't know. It could be like just like Soul Calibur, how they randomly had like, Darth Vader and Yoda for one of their games, along with like Ezio Auditore, where it's like, I don't know why this character is here. He's popular, so it'll just, a lot of people like, definitely go in because there's Ezio Auditore.
Moving away from the consoles for a second and looking at the mobile game exclusively, they actually had Darkseid released as a playable character on the mobile game, but not on the console game. What is this a good move given the popularity of the character of Darkseid, who is the only man who has the possibility of basically beating Superman into a pulp without trying?
Doomsday.
Except maybe Doomsday and Mongol.
Yeah, that is kind of like a weird thing, as you do mention that Darkseid is only available on the mobile. As you probably said, they definitely wanted to pay more attention to the mobile, which I think the programming is a little bit easier to release on the mobile than a console.
Well, obviously you got less buttons.
Yeah, less buttons, and of course, don't need to put that much detail into the character. It is kind of weird, and it is sort of like a bad part on them, especially how they've released all these other characters. And it's like Darkseid, who is a pretty big Superman villain. He only makes one appearance in the game. It's only again through a level transition. That's the only time you see Darkseid. So I don't know if it could be like that weird mix-up where they don't want Darkseid accidentally being thrown or beaten by Darkseid. It's kind of like having Scarecrow in the game, and then Scarecrow attacks himself in the level transition. It could be that logic. I don't know.
What the direction that NetherRealm and WB should be taking then with Injustice is that they should, in my opinion, be making more DLC available to players, making a more weekly or at least a regular update with DLC, or they should be releasing a new Injustice game within the next couple of years.
I don't know. Well, they definitely made a big move or copied the data and added, again, all these characters all together in the Ultimate Edition for the PS4. And I think, was it also for Xbox One?
Yes.
So it's they probably also put a lot of focus into rewriting the code so it would be compatible for PS4. I don't know if they might add to the new consoles or something like that, but I don't know. From what it seems especially with the Ultimate Edition, I think that's probably the best that we're going to get.
Anyway, we are heading up to a break. We're going to be back with our gamer Connor Jordan, who's going to be sticking it out with us for the next couple of sets here. You're listening to VIC Game Corner right here on VIC Radio.
The Game Corner.
Doomsday's not today. I knew they'd pull you over eventually. You don't belong here. My obligations don't end at the borders of my dimension. I am this world's savior. I protect it. That's what's happening out there. Protection, disobedient children. Children. Oh my gods. We don't decide who lives and who dies. The decision is mine. It became mine when Joker turned me into a weapon of mass destruction. You know what you lost? Did you judge me? After I've killed you, I'll bring Lois here. When she sees how I perfected this world, she'll be afraid and disgusted. She'll be alive. Lois's death doesn't. He stole her from me. You stole this planet's freedom. It's time to give it back.
Injustice: Gods Among Us.
You are listening to the Game Corner here on VIC Radio. It is the Injustice edition. I know the bumps this time around are a little bit heavy on the music.
I think I heard myself cough in the background.
That wouldn't be surprising since I recorded them on my computer as opposed to an actual mic and computer in the prod room.
Not to mention, it's weird hearing Superman argue with himself without seeing any visuals. So it's like hearing the same voice over and over. And it's like, who's winning? Wait, who's who?
Anyway, Anyway, we've got Connor Jordan here in the studio with us. How are you doing, Connor?
I'm doing pretty good. Excited to be here. Talk about a pretty kick-ass game.
Yes, it is. What do you like about Injustice?
Well, being that I'm a fighter game fan, a lot like you, except I kind of grew up with the more Mortal Kombat style fighters. I'm a lot more used to the slower, more just option select heavy style of gameplay that you do with that. And I really do love the feel of it. I like, how there's a lot of different styles with all the characters, even with people who could be very fundamentally similar, guys like Green Lantern and Sinestro. And they did a very good job with all the different games, adding a couple, different mechanics, the super moves, the stage switches. I really do like this game mechanically. It's really well made.
Yeah, I definitely like, especially how each player has their own special ability, and makes them really unique.
Yeah.
To be honest, what do you think could be fixed about this game?
I do think there's a couple characters who kind of got shafted in terms of playability. Like I feel like Hawkgirl is not as doesn't have as good a moveset as some other characters.
A little clunky, especially when she flies around. She's hovering.
Yeah,
she's like, I'm trying to attack, but just you're just
the one
attacking in a
the one
circle.
time I tried to play her, I was pretty much just going in a circle a bunch of times, going like, what do want to hit
Come
you?
on.
What?
You just look like an idiot, just like, "Wah!"
I'm just doing a barrel roll for 10 minutes while I'm getting my face beaten in.
Hot girl, do a barrel roll.
Which characters are your favorites to use, Connor?
Well, big surprise, Superman.
And yet you are the voice of Batman.
Well,
The irony.
Superman isn't in Death of the Family, so.
What characters do you hate to fight against? As it sounds like Hawkgirl is one of them.
I hate
No.
fighting Killer Frost with a fiery
I
passion.
know you do, and I'm gonna be the contrarian in the room. The one I hate to fight is Sinestro, although it didn't stop me from taking your ass to school when we played
Hang
yesterday.
on. Hang on.
Oh no.
I still beat you plenty of times, Connor.
It was
Do not
like 12
discount me.
to 6.
Yeah,
it was
dude,
like 12 to 6.
as much as you bragged, you beat him playing.
I
again,
beat him plenty of times. I beat him
Like,
at least.
two
to
times,
2
two
to 1
times.
ratio in my favor.
Yeah,
here.
I was
Come
gonna
on.
say. Yeah, it was like you only beat him once. It's especially when I play, it was like I don't care about the odds. I just want to at least beat him once. And
playing against you was incredible. I was trying really hard not to laugh the entire time.
I was really getting into it because
Wait. I've got a question here.
Oh,
who
boy.
who was better, me or Eric?
Well, you were playing Superman a lot of times, but again, when we
Well,
did the randomness,
We
he-
did random, and your odds definitely improved there because I
Did not
only
know
really
the
cared for
when
Superman.
we're playing as our best characters, who is better at playing, me or Eric?
at least I didn't spam with meteoroids like you.
Yeah, the spamming. My knee-jerk reaction is to give it to you because you did win more against me, in terms of even ratio of when we played. But you are a spammer, so.
Yeah, at least I challenged myself and did not try to do that much spamming except for the last 25% where it's I'm almost there, just let me kill
Yeah,
you.
you just start machine gun firing all.
Yeah, it's just I was I'm gonna beat you. I know. I don't care if I'm spamming. I'm right there. You're almost dead.
Now, I know you were talking about this earlier in the week. You have a lot of hate for the actual story in this game.
Yeah, I do. Again, a lot of my problems with it stem with how they did Superman. Because let me put it, I'm kind of the Superman fanatic in the room, but I like the concept. The evil versions fighting in that. I don't like how it was executed. I don't like him turning evil because Lois Lane was killed by him and that. It ties into this sort of trope in comics, which is referred to by fans as women in refrigerators. It's a reference to when Kyle Rayner's girlfriend got killed way back when, and it basically means, female character getting killed to give a male character motivation. I don't think the other heroes would have gone along with him after this, and yeah, I have a lot of problems with the execution, although that last segment where it is, good Superman versus evil Superman, I love that. It's great.
I don't know. I kind of agree with Angry Joe. Is it would have been interesting if it would have just been focused on the universe, just on the bad universe and how that affected. But again, it's a parallel universe, which I think they do a lot in the Justice League. They did that in the animated series a lot of times. They have different movies about it. So I think this whole parallel universe is overused, to be honest.
I don't necessarily agree with that, and I feel like it is interesting to sort of see the clash between them, having the good and bad characters. And what kind of confused me a lot playing the story mode is when you're seeing the good universe characters, they feel right to how the characters are portrayed and everything. And then you see the bad ones, and it's things they would never do, even under really extreme circumstances. And it just kind of, you've got so right and so wrong all in the same thing. Like, I would have probably liked a lot better if it was like the Crime Syndicate.
Maybe. But, that would have actually just mirrored a Crisis of Two Earths.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have been the same.
No, that's true.
Last time we were on the Game Corner was actually at 5 a.m. last week, and
How fun that
we
was.
covered Super Smash Brothers. In terms of fighting games, because you and I are both fighting game fanatics, what do you think is better, to have a story or to have no story?
Okay, basically, if you can have a narrative and make it work, I'm always going to be in favor of that because, well, I'm a writer myself. I read, a lot for story and that. But if you're going to screw it up, I'd rather you don't put it in and focus on making the best game you can mechanically.
Oh, again, we talked about how there's a big cast of voice actors in this. What do you think of the voice acting overall in the game?
I really liked it. I don't know, what else to say besides, it's the cast from Justice League for the large part, and, they knocked it out of the park in that series and a lot of the DCAU stuff.
I was personally a little bit nitpicky about the voice actor for the Joker, because,
Oh,
again, I
yeah.
love Mark Hamill, but I was like, he did a good job.
You can't really stack up to Mark
Yeah.
Hamill. You can't. How do you follow that?
Yeah,
At
that's true.
least it wasn't the guy that they got for Young Justice, because he was
Oh,
awful.
God.
Well,
yes.
here's the thing. I really like, and that's Brent Spiner, by the way. I really like Brent Spiner as a voice actor. I feel like he didn't necessarily have the best direction, I guess, because I really liked how creepy he was, but he didn't have as much of the fun, manic energy that the Joker can have a lot of the time.
We were talking about DLC earlier. What do you think about the DLC that Injustice has released? Should DLC have been more character-driven rather than costume-driven like it was? What do you think?
I definitely would have liked to see more characters than costumes because costumes to me, they don't really serve much of a purpose other than, look cool. I'd rather have more functionality than, the style. So
yeah, it should be more character-driven than costume.
I would have liked that. And, we were talking the other day about other characters we would have loved to see in this game.
We're going to
Yeah.
cover that
Yeah.
at 4:45, sort of, because it's going to be like a Marvel.
Yeah,
what
yeah.
if Marvel and DC did a game versus each other?
So have you tried the mobile app, the Injustice mobile
I
app?
have not, although I know some people who have. They liked it, but had a lot of the same issues with it that you guys were talking about before.
What about the ideas that you've got a couple of characters that have been released, especially Darkseid only for the mobile app, and Scorpion being released on the actual console game? What do you think about that?
I don't get the inclusion of Scorpion. I know NetherRealm's including it because, it's their flagship popular character from Mortal Kombat, but I would much rather have more, DC characters, especially, Darkseid, because he's Darkseid in the game. I would have found that a lot more interesting than Scorpion. I would have liked it a lot more, and I feel like, if you're sort of splitting up your focus between, the console and mobile game, the mobile game should be in support of the console more than, having features that are not, you can't do in the console.
So next segment, we're going to be talking about a game where Marvel and DC fight.
He's going to be sticking around for that.
Oh,
so
okay,
we
but-
don't need to ask him that question right now.
Then why were you pointing that to me?
I said 10-4.
Oh, I saw
meaning-
3. Okay, fine. What other games are you looking forward to? You literally pointed right here, and I saw 13. Okay.
It looked to me like you said 15.
Yeah, that too. Your hand signatures are weird. Anyways, Connor, what other games are you looking forward to? Number 10-4. How about that?
Also known as 14.
10 plus 4. And
Yeah.
Nick gives me a number 1 on his hand.
Also known as the middle finger. Anyway, I'm very much looking forward to Watch Dogs. That looks really cool.
Whoa!
Yeah, I
Chicago.
am very excited for Destiny because big Halo fan. I am looking forward to. Again, I'm looking forward to the next Halo game, even though I don't have an Xbox One, and I'm probably gonna end up, having to buy it because of Halo 5 and Titanfall.
But again, you have a PS4.
Also, Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh yes.
Hell yes.
Hopefully, we'll get some good news or at least awesome gameplay footage, demo at this year's E3. I really want to see what they're gonna do. Along with Battlefront.
Do you have a gamertag / PlayStation Network account, and do you want to share?
I do, but I don't really use them right now just because busyness with college and, the dorm internet isn't the best sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, if I played online more, I'd just be wasting, even
Well,
more time.
we're going to be podcasting this episode, obviously.
Yeah. So for now, nah.
No? Okay. Well, we're coming up to a break. You're listening to the Game Corner here on VIC Radio. When we come back, we're going to be talking about what if Marvel versus DC happened in Justice style.
Buy that game.
The Game Corner.
Someone call me? Your Sinestro Corps? Sinestro's right. Fear is more effective than willpower. So you ditched green and went yellow. The color of cowardice. I'm still about border, like the Guardians. I'm sure they're very proud. Sanctimony's easy when you don't save it. Time to kick my ass.
Injustice, Gods Among Us.
You are listening to the Game Corner here on VIC Radio. A little bit of Green Lantern Hal Jordan versus Yellow Lantern Hal Jordan right there. A lot of fun right there where he says that he's going to kick his ass.
That is definitely an awesome line that you would be weird to hear yourself say.
Yeah, and Adam Baldwin sells it really well.
That too. We're talking about what if it was a DC versus Marvel sort of Injustice game. Going through, the rules are this: 7 heroes from each side, 7 villains from each side. We're going to go through the heroes first. Or no, not the heroes.
DC.
DC
we're going to start with
first,
DC.
and then we're going to move on to Marvel. Let's go on with your first list of heroes here, Mr.
You
Jaworski.
honestly got the headline already. You got Batman, Superman, Green Arrow, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, and Aquaman. Those are your key characters I think that you should have. I do have a few runner-ups, or just it would be interesting to see, like Black Canary, or even Jonah Hex. I don't know. I want to see him a character, just a gunslinger.
Jonah Hex could be really cool. I would have also loved to see like a spellweaver like John Constantine or something. Although I
did have that on the list when it was originally 15 that you asked.
You've gotten me here with the heroes for DC. I'm gonna say Superman, Batman, Kyle Rayner. That way you've got the White Lantern version of him, and he can control every other part of the emotional spectrum.
Fair enough. I only said Green Lantern.
It would have some really cool flavor to it. Yeah,
I didn't really
Flash,
care. Yeah,
obviously Green Arrow, Wonder Woman, and Dr. Fate.
I do
no
love
Aquaman?
Martian Manhunter, guys.
I'm gonna get a lot of crap for this. My runner-ups were Hawkgirl, Captain Atom, the Atom, and Aquaman.
Captain Atom's awesome. I have no problems at all with Captain Atom. Again, I do remember, like, especially when, the different Injustice DLCs were coming out, the one character everyone was really asking about in these different DLCs was, where's John Jones? Like, everyone wanted the Martian Manhunter.
See, I've never been a huge fan of John Jones.
What?
Oh,
come on.
Let's now move with the villains. There's a few that are already on the list. Joker, Deathstroke, and Sinestro. Those are the ones.
Yeah.
I kind of was thinking like counterparts against to the DC heroes, so I said Black Manta, Cheetah, Ra's al Ghul, and Brainiac.
I was really surprised that Cheetah was not even like a DLC character in the main game.
Yeah, she's basically like Catwoman, to be honest.
Well, not really. She's like
feisty. She's definitely, I don't know.
She's got the claws.
Yeah, claws.
She's got the claws, but she is a very different person.
I don't know. I guess she's more powerful than Catwoman.
Yeah, definitely.
My villain list for DC: Darkseid, Ra's al Ghul, Black Hand, Captain Boomerang, Count Vertigo, Cheetah, and Deathstroke.
Yes, thank you for saying Deathstroke.
The reason I did not include the Joker, he is not a fighter.
True.
We even experienced that in
Injustice.
the Death of the Family. He's not a fighter.
Yeah.
He's somebody who usually, and Batman says that to himself, he's usually somebody who gets somebody else to do his dirty work
Yeah.
for him. My runner-ups in that arena is Atrocitus, Zod, Bane, and Sinestro.
Yeah, I didn't really add any more. I mean, there's some others like Doomsday, but I don't know. I didn't really add any runner-ups. But now let's move to the...
Wait. Connor had
Oh,
something
sorry.
to say here.
did not see.
The one thing I'm kind of sketchy about is like how would Count Vertigo play? That feels like it'd be a really weird.
Because he's not really
Wait,
a fighter
wait,
himself,
think-
but he does do like that
No,
whole...
but think about this. If you press the B button, which is the power button in Injustice, at least on the Xbox version, he basically he could do his Vertigo thing, and he could
Disorients.
he could disorient the player, and he would basically swap out the controls.
No.
Like
He's not
down
a-
is
he-
up,
But that's
left
his only
is right.
that's
things
his
like
only
that.
power, to be honest. He's not, especially from, I don't know, even from the TV show, he's not really much of a fighter. He just uses guns or just whatever. I don't really see him as like, a good character to face against, Superman or all these other characters.
It's an interesting idea.
It is.
But like I'm not sure how it would work mechanically
Yeah.
aside from that one thing.
Exactly.
Going to the heroes of Marvel.
Also known as the MCU lineup.
I put down Spider-Man, Iron Man, Wolverine, Captain America, Hulk, Mr. Fantastic, Deadpool, and I don't know, for some reason a runner-up, Nightcrawler.
Here, that's kind of complimentary in my list. Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Wolverine, Human Torch, and Daredevil. Runner-ups: Hulk, Mr. Fantastic, Nightcrawler, and Storm.
I definitely like the I do like the sort of inclusion of the Human Torch, although I would have put Hulk in myself because Human Torch is an interesting character, but I feel like with the Hulk you got more star power and you've got another bruiser type character that
Yeah.
you could, have
Wait, did you
some
say
stuff with.
Thing or
No.
No.
Okay, because like I knew I originally had Thing, was like, no, I'm just gonna have Hulk in
The
here.
ever-loving Blue Eye.
But no, I love Deadpool, and it'll definitely be interesting to see him fight with Deathstroke because they're basically opposites.
That actually
The-
did happen in a comic once, and it was very amusing.
Oh,
The
goodness.
reason why I included Human Torch was because we don't have very many people with fire powers.
True.
That is true, yeah.
The only person who I've seen in Injustice who has fire powers is Scorpion, and he doesn't even count because he's not DC.
All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that definitely seems to be like an agreeable list. Now, of course, let's go to villains. I said Magneto, Venom, Doc Ock, Loki, Mystique, Doctor Doom, and Sandman. So it definitely seems I have a lot of Spider-Man villains.
You've got a lot of Spider-Man, and you've got a lot of X-Men.
Spider-Man definitely has a lot of the more like recognizable villains of the Marvel universe to people who haven't really like gotten too deep into the comics. So, that's an understandable thing.
I've got Green Goblin, Mandarin,
Yeah.
Viper, Loki, Magneto, Doctor Doom, and Bullseye, with runner-ups of Dr. Octopus, Taskmaster, Whiplash, and Carnage.
Yeah, I did add like
Taskmaster.
I did have Green Goblin as consideration, but I was just like, nah, I'm just gonna keep it here because I don't know. Again, I suppose like Batman has great villains just like Spider-Man does, where they're just so unique. I was really trying to think of the Marvel movies. And again, the only one that could really stick out is Loki with his trickster abilities. I mean, Red Skull could be interesting, even though, again, he relies more on just regular strength and, I don't know, weapons, I suppose. But I couldn't really think of any other, like, that's been from the movies.
I don't know, Winter Soldier.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I mean, here's what I'm going to say right here is that we both have some pretty good lists. We've got some comprehensive lists. You seem to arch more on one series versus another in terms of like who, especially with your Marvel choices, you choose a lot more of the Spider-Man characters than you do, and X-Men characters than you do like other characters in the actual Marvel universe.
well, again, that's the only ones I could think of because they just stand out.
Well, let's turn it over to Connor here for a second and let him critique our lists as a whole.
Okay, so I do like a lot of the choices you guys have made. Like, it's a very diverse list. Although, Nick, I do feel like yours is definitely it has a lot of the character types that you like to play, and not as many of like the bruiser characters. Like the only one was Darkseid. And I feel like, you need a more diverse range of characters if you're going to have a good fighter, because, you've got all these different character types. It's fun to play with them, see how that goes. I did like your list too, Eric. It's pretty interesting, although I feel like, again, being the guy who's very much into the comic books as a whole, I've got like a ton of characters that I want to see myself. Like, I know, like when we were talking about this last night, I was just plugging
At like 3 a.m.
I was plugging Taskmaster like there's no tomorrow because he's so cool.
I don't know, but like we both had different ways of thinking of how to
Yeah.
like think of these villains or like characters, and I don't know. You were pairing of like how they would work in the game, while I was thinking, okay, like Batman's opposite, like Joker,
Yeah.
like what
Yeah.
their pairings.
See, that's the
was
thing,
my
though.
thought.
You can't just focus on popularity. You have to think of also, as Connor has said, functionality. And Joker, in my opinion, isn't a great fighter. He won't do his own dirty work.
I don't know, which is why I added Ra's al Ghul, because he is more of a fighter than Joker.
And
I mean,
the-
it was optional there.
And the reason why I also am going to discredit Deadpool is because he has no really great thing about him other than he continually breaks the fourth wall, and he just seems like he's Deathstroke
He is
in
Deathstroke.
Marvel's universe.
Well, here's the thing. In the initial version of the comics, that's kind of what he was. He was pretty much just a straight up mercenary, because Rob Liefeld is a hack, and later they sort of evolved into the Merc with a Mouth, funny, insane persona that he has now. But he definitely does have a lot to differentiate him in terms of how he operates than Deathstroke, because Deathstroke is, get the target, you kill it, pretty much said and done. Deathstroke's cold professional.
Deadpool's the comedic version, I suppose.
Like, one of my favorite moments in the Deadpool comics is he's just bored, so he makes a chair out of C4 to sit in just like in his apartment. And I feel like that's kind of how Deadpool does shit. Like, if it could be more insane, that's how he's gonna roll with it.
I don't know. Again, I can understand how Deadpool is just basically a replacement of Deathstroke, but I don't know. It would just be funny to see him in battle. It's funny to see him in Marvel versus Capcom.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of fun flavor to it.
So, I don't know. It would just be interesting. It's like, even though you have this same character with the same abilities, but just a different way of going about it. I know it's probably not a good idea, but I don't know. I just like Deadpool because of his humor.
I think what we really, really wanted to see in terms of characters, and especially from things like Injustice, Gods Among Us, is we want to see more diversity in terms of who is in the game. We don't want to see just pure Superman and Batman, and especially Batman characters.
There are a ton of bad family characters in this, like bad characters and villains. Like, we counted last night, and it's like, what, 9?
Yeah, because you got
I don't know
Joker, Harley Quinn, Catwoman, Bane,
Deathstroke.
Batgirl.
Deathstroke's kind of in there.
Well, I definitely count him because he does go up against him.
Yeah, Arkham Origins.
Really
Yeah, Batgirl, Nightwing.
Batman himself.
Yeah, Batman.
That's 7.
There's probably more, but I don't know.
yeah,
We
I
shouldn't be
can't-
taking the time.
Yeah,
thinking
but
about it. But I don't know. It's just like, again, the Batman universe definitely has a big, unique one. But again, we mentioned like, what about Superman? I mean, you could add like Supergirl, but it would just be Superman, but just
well, no,
a
they
female
do.
version.
Like, the powers are similar, but again, they do things differently.
Yeah, I don't know. It would just be maybe faster. I don't know, or something like
A
that.
faster version of basically
Superman.
it would be like Falco to Fox.
I guess so.
You know,
I guess
yeah,
that's a basic
I could.
way to
That's a good way
compare.
of putting it. Like, I'm not a game designer. I don't know like how I would make this work, but like, I do agree. I would have loved to see a lot more diversity in the characters aside from like sort of the marquee characters. Because while I do love the marquee characters, I'm also a big fan of the DC universe as a whole. And one of the things I loved about the animated stuff, especially like Justice League Unlimited, is that it showed there's this whole broader world out there of these characters. You know, you've got the big 7, but you've also got the other like 60 members of the JLU.
And of course, like there are other like opponents that aren't
Yeah.
like affiliated with like each hero.
And I think it's really, really interesting because I don't really know much about the Marvel universe. I'm a really big DC guy like you are, Connor.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
my extent of Marvel knowledge is only from the recent movies and at least from X-Men and Spider-Man. Those are the big, especially mainly X-Men. Those are my big ones.
And I think it's something that we really, really need to investigate. And I think it's something that maybe Marvel, well, Disney and Warner Brothers should consider, as well as putting it into the arena of NetherRealm. And if NetherRealm releases any more Mortal Kombat characters into a game where they are not warranted, I will probably have to hurt somebody.
Just not me. I'll be out of the room.
I heard that they were going to release Sub-Zero at one point. I was like, come on, really?
I would rather have like Fire and Ice than Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Like, come on, like give the DC characters, please.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just a weird, interesting, and I don't know, awful.
I think weird's
addition.
the operative word.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are going to be coming up to the end of the show here. We're going to give our thanks out to Connor Jordan for joining us. Of course, thanks to our old station manager, Jeremy Gosek, our new station manager, Rebecca Zolette. Of course, to Chris Wheatley, manager of television radio operations here at Ithaca College, and our talent coordinators.
Now Perry
Koenig. And then formerly Dave Sperling and Patrick Hayes. You've been listening to VIC Radio's Game Corner. And coming up next, it's going to be VIC News Saturday. So stay tuned here on VIC Radio.